Now, consumers will get better protection from unwanted calls and text messages when the Do Not Call registry takes effect on the 2nd of January next year. This is all part of provisions for data protection, which will take effect on 2nd of July. Now, the registry has a database of phone numbers. Businesses should check who they shouldn't disturb before they call or send ads through text messages or fax. Organizations have to create an account with the registry with a one-time fee of $30. Consumers can indicate if they want to opt in or out. And to help us better understand this all, let's chat with Rajesh Sreenivasan, partner at Rajah and Tann LLP. So essentially, in a nutshell, what does this mean for the consumer? Does it mean that, I'm going to stop receiving all these annoying calls when I'm in the middle of a meeting?
Right, Tally. Well, it doesn't mean that all calls are going to go away, but it certainly means a significant drop in terms of unwanted calls. The whole purpose of this regime is to find a balance between the rights of an individual with regard to the ability to have privacy and the right of legitimate businesses to market. And so what will happen is the unwanted calls in terms of people picking up numbers through illegal means and calling you up, all those types of calls will go away. But legitimate business calls, from your banks, from your real estate agents, etc., who've gotten what is called as clear and unambiguous consent from you, they can still continue to call, even though you've registered your numbers.
So how can I, as a consumer, make sure that, these ambiguity, that I won't be a victim to such ambiguous language before I sign a statement?
Right. The usual, be careful what you sign, have a look at the terms and conditions before you actually agree to products and services. The main aim is to basically raise awareness for all members of public to know that this registry is in place, but also to, at the same time, raise awareness that you have a degree of self-help that comes into play. And so look at those terms and conditions, read, be aware, and ask, will you be calling me? Do you need... and if they do intend to, remember that if they intend to call even after you've registered your number, they need to get clear and unambiguous consent from you.
And actually, as a matter of fact, we went around asking Singaporeans what they think of this Do Not Call registry, and let's watch and see their reactions.
Okay.
I hope it works. If it works, then I would use it. Actually, I think they'll find a way around it. Yeah, I think we just got to tell the people to be more careful when they pick up the phone.
It will still come through email. There'll still be so many other avenues. But at least the phone, it's something that can be controlled and managed.
So, Rajah, as we just heard there, it seems like the people aren't quite hopeful that this whole registry, is going to be foolproof. Would you agree with them?
I think that's a very pragmatic response that you hear from the ground. There's a realization that this is not going to be a total solution to the problem, but it's an important step that we're taking to make sure that you can still have a balance between legitimate use and the rights of individuals to privacy. So what will fall away will be organizations that are truly unscrupulous, that do not get specific consent from people. They buy phone numbers from various dubious sources and start calling. All those will go away. The other thing that I find very helpful, I think, from a consumer-facing perspective is the fact that organizations cannot mask their numbers anymore under the DNC regime. So there will always be some degree of transparency. This unknown call phenomenon will
definitely familiar with that one.
Yes, that will fall.
Now, what about enforcement? I believe, penalties could be as stiff as up to $1 million. Do you think that's enough to, deter such unscrupulous behavior?
I think we'll have to wait and see how the Commissioner responds. Again, I expect a degree of levity. The time has been given for organizations to become compliant, 12 months for the DNC, 18 months for the full act. And therefore, organizations will have very little excuse come January 2014 to say that they weren't aware. And so in that regard, I think the Commissioner therefore has got a fair degree of latitude to impose fairly stiff fines.
Now, I want to talk about another pretty huge milestone, which is the full personal data protection, which will come into effect next year, mid-July, I believe.
Yes.
How do you think consumers are going to benefit from it?
That's going to be the whole Act coming into force, and what will happen then is the level of recognition and protection for individuals with regards to privacy will reach a new level, especially as far as personal data is concerned. Organizations will have to be very responsible in the way in which they use personal data, both of their employees as well as their customers, And you know, it's a new dawn. I'm glad that it's finally occurring for us in Singapore.
So am I. I'm pretty glad myself. Thank you very much, Rajesh. Rajesh, for being in the studio with us. And there I was just chatting with Rajah's Sreenivasan there from Rajah and Tann LLP.